Small business growth frequently stalls due to systemic drag, the daily accumulation of micro-repetitive tasks that slowly suffocate an operator's schedule. These are the unstructured, routine actions required to keep a company moving. Sending the exact same follow-up message, tracking down 30-day past due invoices, and compiling yesterday's bank transactions. None of these tasks are intellectually demanding, but a 15-minute routine, repeated 6 times a day, quickly aggregates into a massive 10 to 20-hour weekly time deficit for the person running the company. The traditional solution to this deficit is highly inefficient. Hiring a full-time employee solely to absorb these manual workflows costs between $35,000 and $50,000 a year, and that is management overhead. We can bypass this cost by deploying localized AI execution notes. These are purpose-built execution engines, localized on dedicated hardware, operating with far more autonomy than a standard conversational chatbot. These localized nodes are architected to take a strictly defined, repeatable workflow and execute it continuously, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with zero human intervention. True operational efficiency requires decoupling repetitive business output from the biological constraints of human labor hours. To map a human task into an AI rule set, the workflow must meet 4 structural criteria. First, the task must occur with high frequency. A daily or weekly cyclical loop yields a high return on automation, whereas a task performed once a quarter does not. Second, the workflow must be rigidly definable. If the process can be mapped onto a clear one-page checklist or a rigid decision tree, an agent can execute it. Third, the cost of a localized error must be low and easily recoverable. An automated invoice reminder sent twice is a minor annoyance, not a catastrophic failure. Finally, the human labor cost currently dedicated to the task must be highly visible and measurable. You need a clear baseline to calculate the exact hours saved. Once a workflow meets these criteria, system operators configure the logic rules, the brand voice, and the escalation paths exactly once. This configuration applies directly to tasks like scheduling a month of multi-platform social media posts or reconciling daily bank transactions against an accounting ledger. After the initial setup, the agent executes this exact definition continuously. The operator never has to rebuild the workflow on a Monday morning. At its core, an AI agent operates as a state machine. It rigidly enforces the operational parameters its architect designs. Running these state machines requires examining the physical hardware layer. Relying on software-based automation installed on individual user devices introduces a severe architectural flaw. Software agents deployed on personal devices halt execution the moment a laptop closes, a phone battery dies, or the network goes to sleep. The solution is to deploy these agents on a localized edge device, specifically a dedicated fanless mini PC gateway. This localized node functions as a persistent network appliance. It operates entirely independently of whatever consumer hardware the staff happens to be using. This guarantees continuous 24/7 uptime. The system processes incoming data overnight and executes scheduled workflows straight through the weekend. By running the compute locally, this hardware model removes the need for expensive per-seat software-as-a-service subscriptions that often plague cloud-based alternatives. The persistent node continuously pulls external APIs, extracting data from CRM databases and accounting software without waiting for a human prompt. The automation loop remains perfectly contained, running reliably on the local network infrastructure without recurring monthly access fees. By combining 24/7 persistence with the elimination of per-seat subscription overhead, dedicated edge hardware provides the most stable and cost-effective foundation for business automation. We can observe this localized architecture in practice through the empirical case study of a 12-person regional service business. The business faced a specific systemic problem, a 14 to 18-hour weekly time deficit, entirely wasted on answering Tier 1 support questions and manually ingesting new leads. The operator's original plan to scale was standard: hire a part-time operations coordinator at a cost of $28,000 a year to handle the inbound volume. Instead, they activated AI workflows on a localized node, lead follow-up, invoice reminders, and support. Response time dropped from 9 hours to under 10 minutes. Past due invoices dropped 40% automatically. The operator recovered 12 hours a week, launching a new revenue-generating service. This automated system is made safe for deployment by a critical boundary condition known as the exception protocol. These agents are structurally programmed to recognize edge cases. If a customer is angry, a question is novel, or data is ambiguous, the agent flags it. When a pattern breaks its defined parameters, the exact handoff mechanism triggers. The agent then halts execution immediately. The agent then pushes a written, summarized context payload directly to a human operator, protecting the integrity of the business relationship. An automated execution node is only as viable as its ability to gracefully fail over to a human intelligence when its boundaries are crossed. Zooming out, we can observe the newly optimized operational architecture of a small business running on this edge model. These execution nodes absorb the deterministic, repetitive loops within a schedule, allowing the existing team to focus exclusively on higher-value tasks. Edge deployment via a dedicated, persistent physical box is what permanently solves the automation persistence problem. In the old, inefficient architecture, human operators manually pushed routine data from one stage to the next. In the new architecture, they only handle exceptions and edge cases. The financial scale of this shift is clear. A one-time hardware investment of roughly $500 directly offsets a projected $28,000 to $50,000 recurring labor cost. Recovering 10 to 20 hours a week restores an operator's capacity for deep strategic work. The human operator is now entirely unblocked, free to focus exclusively on tasks requiring actual judgment, negotiation, and relationship building. To implement this, operators should identify a single high-frequency operational bottleneck in their current system to target first. Map the exact rules of the task, deploy the localized hardware, and measure the recovered hours over a structured 2-week sprint. True systemic scalability requires deploying machines for infinite repetition, so that human capital can be reserved exclusively for innovation.